The Milwaukee Mile, rich with motorsports history, the cars, the moments, the faces of stock car racing have played a big part in that past. Last year, in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series' most recent page in that history, Greg Biffle made his way to victory lane. 1 year later, Biffle finds himself atop the series points and is one victory away from a history-making 4 in a row. Jack Sprague is on Biffle's heels in the points chase. He has won 3 times this year and knows his way around the Milwaukee Mile. Mike Wallace has been a fixture in the top 5 this season. He has seen victory lane twice this year and would love to add Milwaukee to the list. And Andy Houston sits 4th in the points race, needs a good run today, and with the NASCAR Busch Series event tomorrow, he'll take 2 swings at Milwaukee this weekend. It's a July 4th weekend of auto racing on CBS, beginning next at the Milwaukee Mile. It is a beautiful day in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. CBS Sports set to go racing with the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, the Milwaukee 200, from one of the most famous addresses in all of American motorsports, the Milwaukee Mile. With his 3 consecutive wins on the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, Greg Biffle wants this to be an historic weekend. Here's Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Eli, not only has Greg Biffle won 3 straight, he's won 13 out of the last 33 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series races. An incredible record. If he's going to make history today, he's going to do it from the 3rd starting position. Greg, you guys been on an awesome roll. Can you get one more today to get that record?
Well, I certainly hope so. I tell you, the guys got me a great truck here for today, but I tell you, the 99 and the 25 are awful strong, so we just hope a good pit strategy today and a good clean race, and maybe we'll get 4 in a row.
Well, we'll certainly keep an eye on him, and that 99 truck he's talking about is none other than his teammate, Kurt Busch. At the tender age of 21 years old, the youngest guy to ever win a pole in the Craftsman Truck Series. He starts up front today. Hey, man, you've had 4 second-place finishes. Is it time to win one today?
It could be. We've got a great shot here. The XI Batteries truck's running good. Got a good teammate behind me, Greg Biffle. It could be a 1-2 effort again.
Well, I tell you what, it could be a great day for Roush Racing. Joining me on pit road today, here's Steve Burns.
Hey, thanks, Glenn. Early in Jack Sprague's career, he was known as Mile Track Jack because he was so awesome on tracks like this one here in Milwaukee. He's never finished worse than 9th in 5 races, and he has a victory. But, Jack, you're starting a little bit farther back in 10th. Tell us about your strategy here today.
Well, I tell you, we struggled here yesterday for most of the day, and even through qualifying, but happy hour, Dennis threw some stuff at it. I tell you, I think it's one of the best trucks I've ever had here at Milwaukee, and I think we've got a really good shot at putting the GMAC Chevrolet in victory lane. Just got to bide our time a little bit, be patient, and I think the rest of them will slow down more than we will.
And Eli, now they just call him Champ.
Indeed they do, but they're also calling this Milwaukee Mile a favorite track for many of the drivers in the field. A full 15 of the 33 starters told me this morning that they well could be the winners when this day is over. That's what makes this series so exciting. What also makes this series exciting is the gentleman who's joining me from coast to coast and around the world. He knows every inch of many an American racetrack. He is the coach, Jerry Glanville. Great to have you with us today, Jerry. You know, we laugh. Yes, you've had some tough days at tracks, but you've also had your career best runs ever here at Milwaukee. Why do you or anybody else like a flat racetrack?
Well, I personally don't like a flat racetrack. I was lucky to have that good finish that one time. But most of those incidents you saw me banging the wall, they are on a flat track. I talked to the drivers. Every driver said, Eli, could I have a little more banking? Then the car is more forgiving. Here, you cannot make a mistake because it is so flat. You can get in trouble in a hurry.
They're not out there adding any banking. It's 9.5 degrees flat any way you cut it. When we come back, more on the storylines for today's Milwaukee 200 on CBS. You are looking at the Milwaukee Mile, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series in town in West Allis, Wisconsin, an immediate suburb of Milwaukee. And what a competitive year it's been on the series. Even with his domination and victories, Greg Biffle just can't pull away from everybody else, including Andy Houston, Glenn. He's in 4th.
He is, Eli, and he sits fourth on the grid today as well. But it's been a tough weekend already on Andy. First day here, he crashed a truck. Then he caught a virus from his young son, Colin. He really felt miserable yesterday. Didn't really feel like being in the truck. But I tell you what, he's a trooper. He qualified it in fourth position. He's going to give it a go today. He says he's feeling much, much better today. You know, tire strategy is always a story here at Milwaukee and in any NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race. For more on that, here's Steve Burns.
Hey, Glenn, we're going to be talking about tires all day. If you watch the Winston Cup race tonight on CBS in Daytona, you'll see them bolt on 4 tires every time they pit. But here in the Truck Series, they're limited to 4 sets for the entire weekend. They've already used 1 in practice. They'll start on this set when they drop the green flag, then get 2 more. They also can only take 2 tires under caution. And Eli, to further complicate matters, they have a brand new tire here in Milwaukee for this race.
Steve, that's right. Goodyear has a new generation left side tire with a pyramid-shaped bead. We'll talk more about that in greater detail later, but what it means basically is a lot of the old notes just don't work on the trucks any longer. The weather, ideal for racing, 77 degrees. There is not a hint of rain in the area. We have a beautiful weekend to go to work here at the Milwaukee Mile. Now let's go trackside for the command to fire engines. Larry Jelinski having just given the command, and the trucks roar to life as we get set to go racing for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. When we come back to Milwaukee, the starting grid and the green flag for the Milwaukee 200.
What if your car...
Welcome back, everybody. They've been racing here since 1903. This is the 6th visit for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Here's the starting lineup. Kurt Busch, as Glenn said, youngest ever to win a pole in this series. Randy Tolsma started second a year ago. Greg Biffle won here a season back. And for Andy Houston, he was the Portland winner. Joe Ruttman's been running here at Milwaukee forever and won at Phoenix earlier this year. Dennis Setzer was 6th here a season ago. Take a look at everybody and find how your favorite is qualified. One thing we're noticing here, Jerry Glanville, a lot of new names sprinkled in amongst the series veterans.
And there's Carlos. Here's a guy that's really good on a road course. And I think this track is so flat, I think if you're a good road course driver, you have an advantage here.
Marty Houston, Michael Dokken filling in for Rick Ware in the number 51 truck. Mike Wallace won here in the NASCAR Busch Series. There's veteran Jimmy Hensley, who has had success here in the Busch Series cars. Randy Renfroe, Scott Riggs, couple of North Carolinians. Coy Gibbs is the coach's son.
Well, I tried to coach him yesterday, and I did the best job I could. I think that's why he didn't qualify real good.
I'm sure he thanks you for that. Bobby Dollar for the NASCAR Winston West Series. He's 3rd in that series point standings. Andy Gensman in 32nd spot, and Billy Kahn out of Tempe, Arizona, rounding out the 33 truck field. If you're not familiar with what this racetrack looks like from ground level, well, Randy Tolsma, kind enough to be one of those to give us a ride around in the Dodge Super Guard on truck cameras. There's the Granger onboard camera for Greg Biffle, and like you said, Coach, not a lick of banking here.
Well, when you go down into turn 1, you have to get out of the gas, and what you got to do, you got to be patient. You got to wait before you ever come back with the gas.
There's the Dodge Mopar onboard camera from Dennis Setzer's truck. Brian Ruffner came here when he was a youngster, following his dad's racing exploits. And he's got the Johns Manville truck going. There's the Team ASE entry for Mike Wallace. And also giving us a ride around the speedway, Scott Riggs. That's the RC Cola Dodge truck.
And that's turn 1 right there, and that's where you have to stay out of the gas until your nose on your truck turns before you can get on the accelerator.
If you're not familiar with the numbers about this race, it is a 1-mile racetrack, hence the name Milwaukee Mile. So 200 laps, 200 miles around. And the track record, 106.714 miles an hour. The straightaways are banked 2.5 degrees here. I mean, that's pancake flat to the 9.25, which is virtually flat in the corners. The turn's pretty tight. It's kind of like a big Martinsville if you're familiar with that speedway where the NASCAR teams run. And as far as the manufacturers' breakdowns are concerned, if you like the Chevys, the Fords, the Dodges, Everybody well represented, not only here today, but as far as wins are concerned and on the seasonal manufacturers' point standing. So we are glad you're with us. CBS Sports getting things going. The first of 3 live NASCAR events you'll be seeing here on CBS. Of course, this evening, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Daytona at the speed of light, the Pepsi 400. But now we're going racing in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Kurt Busch gets the jump into turn 1. 30 seconds around the 1 mile speedway. There's Terry Cook in the number 88 truck. Dennis Setzer riding behind him. That is 7th spot. Looking rearward towards Rick Crawford and the rest of the field. Jerry, how long before you start getting antsy and get out of single file formation?
Well, I think what's changed is because of that new tire. They used to start down 7-8 pounds below tire pressure recommendation. But because of the new tire, Eli, they're only starting 2 pounds down. So as soon as they build up 2 pounds, they'll go find out who can race with who.
There's Mike Wallace in the 2 and the 75 of Houston battling for 14th spot. There are 2 Houstons in the field. 75 is Marty Houston. The 60 is Andy Houston, brothers, sons of the great Tommy Houston, longtime NASCAR Busch Series standout. You notice the rundown from NASCAR timing and scoring in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. You see Gibbs, you see Reeves in the 25th spot. His number is highlighted in green. That means that truck has moved up a position in the last lap. Like Edwards is in red, well, his truck has dropped down a position in the last lap. And if there's no color indicated in the position, that's a truck that has stayed stable or stationary in the rundown from 1 lap to the next. Joe Ruttman in that blue and white number 18 Dana Dodge.
And much faster down the straightaway with that Dodge motor. And you can see that he's a little faster in the corners. Watch him pull away from number 60.
And up front, Randy Tolsma in the 25 trying to take the lead from Kurt Busch, and does.
Tolsman much faster in the corners, Eli. Busch can pull him down the straightaway, but Tolsman gains on him going in the corner and coming out.
So the first lead change as we ride with Greg Biffle and the Granger Racing team. And if you're just joining us, he is looking for his 4th win in succession as he grabs 2nd away from his corporate teammate out of Roush Racing, Kurt Busch.
And Kurt Busch is staying high in the corners there, Eli, allowing people to get underneath him. I don't know if he's waiting for that tire pressure to build up on the inside left front tire.
Just underway here in Milwaukee. All 33 of the trucks that began still on the speedway. Randy Tolsma ran a midget race here and finished 3rd, and a USAC Silver Crown sprint car event here back in 1993 and finished 4th. So he's got some experience in the 25 running here at the Milwaukee Mile.
And Biffle a lot faster in the corners. Look at the distance he made up, and that allows him to try to pull him down the straightaway, which he can't do. But in the corners, Biffle is gaining on Andy immensely, especially coming out of turn 4. You see him gaining right there.
Of course, the temptation is to get on the gas more quickly than you need to. But Biffle, listen in, just listen. You have to coast a good bit through the corner, then jump on it.
You have to be patient. You have to wait for that nose to turn because there's no banking. The track will not help the driver.
From Randy Tolsma, looking rearward out of the Citgo Super Guard onboard cameras.
Wow.
Tickling 9,000 RPMs.
That's with a 9-to-1 motor with a roller cam. That's a lot of RPMs with a roller.
That right-hand dial on the telemetry. Let's see on the straightaway here. Right at 150 miles an hour. Glenn Jarrett looks as though Biffle might have the better truck, but just can't get the jump on Tolsma.
Yeah, Eli, he is really running well right now. He's just waiting for the right time. Tolsma has reported that his truck is a little bit tight in the center of the corner. But, you know, one of the reasons for the incredible success that Greg Biffle has had since coming to this series is his crew chief, Randy Goss. Randy has been with this team for a while. He has 18 career victories. You see Biffle taking the lead right now going into turn 1. But Randy Goss is second only to Dennis Conner for career victories by a crew chief in this series. He is a master mechanic.
Dennis Conner is the crew chief for Jack Sprague. Now with that lead change, here comes second place up for grabs. Give it to Joe Ruttman. So the veteran Ruttman moves around the 25 of Tolsma as we ride with Tolsma and the Super Guard team with the on-truck cameras.
Well, Tolsma's truck is pushing a little bit, and by that we mean it's riding up high, about a half a groove higher than he wants to, so he's not as fast in the corner as the people that are going around him.
Don't think they work up ahead of steam on a flat mile?
Well, you know, it's a whole different view. It's a different view here. I had no idea we were going that fast. I wouldn't come back every year.
So the leader is Greg Biffle, and CBS sports coverage of the Milwaukee 200 will continue after this message and a word from your local station. America Online users, for the most in-depth sports news and information, click on AOL Sports or enter keyword CBS Sportsline. Welcome back to the Milwaukee Mile. Greg Biffle, known as Kurt Busch, has now gotten back around Joe Ruttman to retake second spot. Ruttman third. Randy Tolsma has dropped back to fourth. And as you look back now, you might miss the fact that the 1993 NASCAR Busch Series champion Steve Grissom in the Petty Enterprises truck has backslid all the way to 19th position. He was running well moments ago. Steve Burns, what's the problem?
Well, Eli, at the top of the show, Jerry Glanville talked about how these drivers are going to try to be patient inside these trucks. Well, Steve Grissom darn near got turned around on the first corner of the first lap. That's why he went back 6 positions.
This has not been a good stretch for him. Grissom has been averaging only an 18th place finish in his last 5 starts on the series.
Well, you know, it's a big difference for him. He's more famous for being in the cars, and I can tell when he goes through turn 2, he's getting on the gas so quick, Eli. He rides up high. He gets out of the black groove, and that's slow. Look how high he is right there, and that's from being, you know, he's saying to himself, I got to get on the gas. You really got to let it roll free.
And as we mentioned during the starting grid, Grissom's last visit here was when he won the NASCAR Busch Series race back in 1993. There's 9th place on your screen. The 14 is Rick Crawford. He's out of Mobile, Alabama. The team out of Georgia. The sponsor is from here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The 24 of Jack Sprague just behind him. And the 3, that's Brian Refner, with whom we're riding now in the Team Menards truck. Refner just ahead of him in 8th.
Well, if you watch number 14, you talked about Rick Crawford. That's a guy from Georgia that I've got to race and watch him race, and he's something special. And he's all excited because he thinks that this new tire, this new left front tire, is going to help him in the corners.
And now here comes Steve Grissom, the flat right front tire, and caution is on the speedway for problems in turn number 1. Unrelated to Steve Grissom, who is in with the flat right, there's Donnie Morlock in the backup truck for Bobby Hamilton's operation. And Donnie Morlock brings out the caution at lap number 21. So the first caution flag of the day. Now remember, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series under caution, you do have a 2-tire rule. However, if a tire is totally flat, as obviously the right front was, you can change that one as well. So this will be left side tires and the right front for Steve Grissom without the benefit of a penalty. But there is Donnie Morlock. Ran 2 laps at Monroe, Washington. Had an accident again today. Wednesday on CBS, it's the #1 show in America, Survivor. Who will be voted off the island next? Don't miss the summer sizzler on an all-new Survivor. Wednesday at 8, 7 Central on CBS. Under caution here at the Milwaukee Mile, Donnie Morlock and Steve Grissom. Unrelated incidents as Steve goes back after the pit stop. You can almost see the truck just binding up when that right front went down. Lucky it happened on the straightaway.
Well, he knew on the straightaway he had the flat, so he got out of the gas. And you see he's tiptoeing around the corner, and he knows he's got to turn in. And here's Donnie Moreland. This is the second truck for Bobby Hamilton, and it got loose going into turn 1. You have to get out of the gas early. He didn't do that, and you backed into the wall.
Donnie Morlock is an interesting story. The crew really wanted him to start racing at Texas, a big super speedway, at Kentucky, a super speedway, but NASCAR said no, you've got to prove your credentials first. So they said go and run at the short track in Monroe, Washington, the Evergreen Speedway. He ran there, then did not run Texas nor Kentucky, failed to qualify at Watkins Glen, and is now here at the flat Milwaukee Mile. Other pit stops, you see the 73, that's B.A. Wilson. He's in for service. Hey, Steve, are these trucks as sensitive to chassis changes, spring rubbers, and so on, like the cars are?
Absolutely, Eli. And as Jerry said, this is a flat racetrack. One of the ways these teams can adjust in a big way on a pit stop is with a spring rubber. Now, there's 4 springs, 1 in each corner of the race truck. When they change the tires, the crew will pull one of these rubbers out. And Jerry can talk about how that affects the handling of these trucks.
What that does is that changes the poundage on the spring. It softens you up. And if you get softer, that'll cause the truck to turn. And really, I think trucks respond to a rubber much quicker than a car does. But some teams say it takes too long and they don't want to change the rubber because it is lengthy in the pits.
So continuing under caution, the race leader, Greg Biffle. There you see him at the head of the field. The 11th race out of 14 this season that he has led. And there's 25, Randy Tolsma, Glenn. He has settled back in 4th now after leading 5 laps.
Eli, Randy Tolsma has been one of the quickest trucks since they got here. In fact, his crew chief, Jerry Showalter, told me that after Randy ran the first 10 laps of the truck, he said, put it back on the trailer, don't touch it, let's leave it alone, it's perfect. He really thought he'd get the pole. He had just a little bit of a goof up in the qualifying lap. But right before the race today, with the temperature getting a little warmer than it had been since any time they've been here, they guessed that the track might get a little slick, and so that the truck might get loose. They put a little bit of extra bite or wedge in the truck. It's got it a little too tight. That's why it won't turn in its corners. That's why he has fallen back a little bit in the field. They're going to take some bite out of it when they come in for their first pit stop.
And you talk about Tolsma missing the pole. He missed it by 1/1000th of a second. Folks, don't forget, coming up next, the Pepsi 400 preview show. Then tonight in prime time, NASCAR's hottest wheels returning to Daytona under the lights for the Pepsi 400. That's 8 p.m. Eastern time. Dale Jarrett is on the pole. Ricky Rudd outside. It's all Robert Yates all the time.
But don't forget my good friend Bill Elliott. He's sitting there at 3rd. I got to always brag on him.
You'll see it tonight at 8 Eastern with the preview show as soon as we move aside. Greg Biffle leads Kurt Busch. Joe Ruttman 3rd. Randy Tolsma is 4th. Andy Houston restarts in 5th. That's the 2, Mike Wallace, trying outside to make a pass. You don't think the Jack Roush power plants have any oomph, do you, Coach?
One thing about Jack Roush, everybody knows he can build engines, but he can build a 9-to-1 engine better than anybody. Ernie Elliott can build that 12-to-1, but Roush is the guy that builds the 9-to-1 motor.
We speak of Jack Roush because his trucks, the 50 of Biffle and the 99 of Busch, are running 1st and 2nd, and Biffle has led 65% of all the race laps in the last 5 events prior to today. Maybe 3 wide going into turn number 3. That's 13th spot on back, though the green truck you saw That was Kahn. He's already a lap down. There's Mike Wallace again, right beneath the start-finish line tower, still working the outside, riding with the Team ASC entry. He's challenging the 51 of Michael Dokken. All up front, Busch is coming calling for the race lead.
One thing about Mike Wallace, kind of unusual, I've never seen it happen. While he was qualifying, a rainstorm broke out, and he could not finish his qualifying lap, and they had to let him go try again.
There's Rick Crawford. Still holds the NASCAR Slim Jim All-Pro Series record here. He's in the 14 truck, Crawford is.
And his truck is staying down. As you watch him in the corners, look for people that do not have to fight their truck to stay down. Crawford's is staying down, which means he's got the handling he wants.
And Crawford in the 14 finished third here a year ago. Riding with Brian Ruffner, the Team Menards entry. Now let's see, we saw 150 miles an hour earlier. Just about the same on the straightaways.
8,800 RPMs rather than the 9,000 we saw earlier.
And that puts a lot of pressure on these power plants too.
Well, they start rattling on you after about 85. When you're driving them, you know when you go past 8,500, start shaking you up a little bit. It feels like you're sitting on your washing machine.
The guy we're riding with, Brian Ruffner, when he was at the age of 13, he came here with his dad. There you see Brian. He had only seen and raced on tracks like the Wausau Speedway, a quarter mile, the Golden Sand Speedway in Plover, Wisconsin, a third mile. So this was really the first big track not only that he had seen, but then went on to race on as a competitor. Brian Ruffner there on the number 3 truck.
And I asked Brian's crew, I said, what about adjusting the truck rather than the car? And they said, Eli, because it's a truck, it's not a car, make all your adjustments bigger. If you're going to give a car 2 rounds, give a truck 4. And so all adjustments on the truck have to be in bigger steps.
The Mopar Dodge, Dennis Setzer chasing the 88 of Terry Cook. Couple of short track aces. Setzer in the 1, learning his trade at the Hickory Motor Speedway in North Carolina. And Terry Cook just ahead of him, a late model driver.
Out of Sylvania, Ohio.
Right, ran Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania. He's run the ARCA Series at Toledo, Flat Rock, Michigan. Had a great run earlier this year on the high banks of Daytona. Best finish of the season was a top 5 for Terry Cook there.
And they're doing a good job. That's a new program. There's not many truck race teams in Ohio. You're looking at the only guy, and they're really doing a fine job in this series.
Greg Biffle still leading by a 1/10 of a second. As we ride now with Brian Ruffner yet again. Off turn 2, and here's the lead. Here goes Busch, and Biffle says, go on ahead.
Well, you can tell their teammates. He said, you go lead a while, you go get some extra points. He let him go by. I don't know if his truck is fighting him in the corners, but he just let Busch go by.
It's a good spot to hang out if you just don't let Rutman get too close to you.
Talking about Joe Rutman, who was in third, 8/10 of a second further behind.
And they were telling Biffle, just hang around, hang out, follow your teammate, but don't let Joe come in there underneath you.
Greg Biffle led 109 laps of this event a year ago. But right now settles in. And here does come Rutman. He's in that blue and white truck. There's the Dana Dodge. Joe told me yesterday, he said, you can look it up. He said, I probably should have won 80% of the races that I have run here back in the USAC days, the United States Auto Club, when he ran the stock car series.
And one thing about Joe Rutman, after racing him many times and racing him here, I believe he could drive anything.
9th place, swapping hands right there. Jack Sprague in the 24 grabs it from Rick Crawford in the 14. So swap 9th spot around. If you're a fan of B.A. Wilson, he has taken his truck behind the wall with mechanical problems, joining Donnie Morlock, who after the accident on lap 21 also has gone to the garage.
Wow, I saw the 24 truck swing so wide there. It looks like he's having a little problem coming out of 2.
But Glenn, Jack always turns well here. Again today, that's letting him get back on the throttle a little more quickly.
Normally he does, Eli, but we've been listening to his and his crew chief, Dennis Connor's radio conversations. The truck is a little tight right now. That's why it's swinging up so far out, coming off the turns. Jack told Dennis, he said, I'm having to chatter the front end to get the thing to turn. Connor's response was, Jack, don't do that.
And the reason he says that, when you let him chatter, if you chatter the front end and force the turn, you take the rubber off the right front tire.
So we have had but one caution today. The lead has changed hands from Kurt Busch to Randy Tolsma to Greg Biffle and back to Busch on a beautiful Saturday afternoon in Milwaukee. The Sports Spectacular takes you to Palo Alto, California for the GMC Envoy Open. Some of the nation's best will be competing in the last track and field event before the U.S. Olympic trials. The GMC Envoy Open tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on CBS. Welcome back to Milwaukee and the Milwaukee Mile. Eli Gold, Jerry Glanville, Glenn Jarrett, Steve Burns. Race lead still held by Kurt Busch. There you see the margin from first to second to third. In the garage area, meanwhile, B.A. Wilson calling it a day. Steve?
Eli, he came in here 17th at point, but B.A. short day. What put you on the truck?
Well, you know, Joey Sontag and his team has really gave me good trucks to race earlier this year. We've had some good finishes. But we had a miss there at the first of the race, and I switched ignition boxes and come in and got it looked at. And it just kept missing and stuff. And we really didn't have a lot to gain today, so we just decided to call it a day.
So B.A. Wilson joining Donnie Morlack and Ryan McGlynn as the 3 trucks off the track. You know, it's tough when you're not running for points or running consistently, Jerry. Nobody wants to give up the afternoon.
Well, and what you don't want to do there is hurt your motor. If it wasn't electrical, it could have been a valve spring. And if you keep on driving, Eli, if you just 10 more laps and the motor turns loose, you lost $30,000. So that's why they pull it in and park it.
There's 11th place, Rick Corelli. He was on board with us on this telecast a year ago, you might remember, after returning from the injuries that he suffered in Memphis, Tennessee. And that's a great story because crew chief Roland Wolotica left the team after the race in Colorado, and Corelli now is his own crew chief. So on top of driving it, he's having to call the shots.
And I think that's tough. I think what you have to do is concentrate on your driving, and you got to tell somebody else, I can't get through turn 2. It won't turn. Well, you fix it. It's hard for you to tell the people what to do to fix it. I'm going to put you under a little pressure with him, though. He was with you last year.
Yeah.
I'm with you this year.
Yeah.
Who would you rather be with up here in the booth, Eli?
And Buddy Baker will be joining us on the telecast tomorrow.
No, you'd rather Buddy's going to fix everything tomorrow.
Rob Morgan in that middle blue truck right there, the 46. Carlos Contreras right behind him. Morgan, a longtime road racer. His dad, Charles Morgan, has an unscheduled stop for Randy McDonald. That is the only team to have been running at the finish of every single truck race this year. So if nothing else for pride, he wants to get back out there.
He has to get back out there. And he was 6th at Daytona. Had a great run at Daytona.
There's the ongoing battle between Morgan and Contreras.
And Morgan, he's really improved in this series. I've got a chance to race against him a lot in Winston West, and I can see a guy here that's just grown and getting better each and every week with this truck series.
46 Morgan, 12 Contreras. There you see Corelli in the number 66 truck running in the 11th spot. A brand new truck. They didn't even have the templates at the shop to try and make sure the truck's shape was correct under NASCAR rules. When they came here Thursday, they found that the nose of the truck was not correct, and they had to spend so much time rebuilding it. And Rick Corelli.
And the truck inspection is tough.
Coming back after the injuries at Memphis, Tennessee a year ago. How tough has it been coming back and learning how to race again?
And I made a commitment to myself that in November, if I wasn't ready to race again, I wouldn't race again, you know. And I think a lot of people, you know, I learned a long time ago, if you're lying, you're just lying to yourself. And I wasn't going to go out there and put myself in jeopardy and put somebody else in jeopardy. And, you know, you got a lot more to live for than driving a race car or a race truck. And, but, you know, it's something we do. It's in my blood. I love it, and I wasn't ready to quit yet.
And he's glad he hasn't quit, because he's had a couple of 7th place finishes already this season, and he is just so tickled to be here. The guy they call the High Plains Drifter from Denver, Colorado.
And really, his whole family's involved in racing. His wife is involved with the radios that the drivers use, and a great guy. And you said he's his own crew chief. And Randy McDonald's the same thing. He's driving number 72. Both of them are their own crew chiefs, and I think that makes it tough to drive.
There you see the leader, Kurt Busch, by 1 1/10 of a second. He is up on Greg Biffle, his corporate teammate. Joe Ruttman still running in 3rd. Ruttman is 2 1/10 seconds behind. We are live in Milwaukee, and CBS Sports coverage of the Milwaukee 200 will continue after this message and a word from your local station. The only change among the front 3, the margin between them. Kurt Busch now by 1.5 seconds on Greg Biffle, and by 2.9 seconds on 3rd place, Joe Ruttman. Hey, folks, this Wednesday on CBS, 10 strangers will move into a house with cameras recording their every move, and you decide who stays and who goes. The last one left will win fame and fortune. Don't miss the premiere of Big Brother right after Survivor this Wednesday on CBS. Kurt Busch took the lead at lap 35 most recently. After leading laps 1, 2, and 3, he had yielded to Randy Tolsma. Then Greg Biffle led for 24 laps. And now Busch back in control.
Next 3 guys behind you are doing 3s, but no pressure.
Now Busch has really had an interesting statistic this year that he is ready to see go by the wayside. He has finished 2nd on a super speedway at Daytona. He has finished 2nd on a 1-mile track, Pikes Peak International. He has finished 2nd at a short track, Mesa Marin Raceway in Bakersfield, California, and 2nd on the road course at Watkins Glen. So he's finished 2nd on every kind of track that NASCAR can throw at him.
Well, as long as you're that close that often, sooner or later you're going to kick that door down. I think he's got an excellent running truck today. And one point that his radio guy said to me, Eli, he said, no pressure. And whenever you hear no pressure, it means just drive smooth, stay with your line so you can see how smooth these front 3 trucks are. And there's my buddy from Georgia, Crawford, making a move in 14. But no pressure means don't hustle it, just be smooth.
That is 10th place on your screen, that battle you've been watching. It is ongoing still. Rick Corelli, the 66, Rick Crawford in the 14.
You can see Corelli going higher in the corners than Crawford. And that may allow Crawford to get up underneath him.
Rick Crawford in the 14 became the series' most recent $1 million winner by simply starting today's race. The last place money, if that's where he ended up finishing, would still have been enough to put him over the $1 million mark. If you're a Billy Kahn fan, he has just taken his truck to the garage area, joining Donnie Morlock, B.A. Wilson, and Ryan McGlynn, those out of the event right now.
Well, Billy Kahn blew his motor yesterday before qualifying, and he had to borrow one for today, so evidently the one he borrowed wasn't much better than the one he lost. Oh, Joe Gibbs' son doing a little wiggle there coming out of the corner.
Right. That is Coy Gibbs driving the number 20 truck. Meanwhile, downstairs on the pit lane, Matt Chambers and the whole Exide team just watching Kurt Busch. Glenn?
Well, I'm talking with Matt Chambers now, Eli. And Matt, we're coming up on pit stops fairly soon now. How long can you go, and will you change left side tires or right side tires first?
We're going to be coming in probably about 10 laps. We're going to do four tires.
Any other changes to the truck?
Nah,
It's tough to get it right for the whole fuel run at this track, but it's pretty good at the end, so we're going to leave it.
Well, you know, the truck was a little tighter a while ago, guys, but the racetrack has gotten slicker, so that has helped his truck. What do you have, Steve Burns?
Well, Glenn, to follow up on what you just said, if the teams stop under caution, as Eli said, they can only take 2 tires. Most teams will choose to go with rights, then fit again for lefts, and then finish with rights. But the 50 team has done unusual strategy this year. They have started with left side tires and then gone with rights on the remaining 2 stops. Just talking to the guys of Joe Ruttman's team, the truck that's in third, they may take lefts also. So interesting strategy. And Jerry, they say it's a lot depending on the driver's preference.
Well, really, I think it's how hard he gets in the corner, whether he wears out the lefts or the rights, Eli.
How different is any race vehicle to handle late in a run before pit stops? Because they're significantly lighter now with the fuel having been virtually exhausted. How much more difficult, or in some instances easier, to handle a car or truck?
And when you're losing your fuel, don't forget, Eli, you've worn out a lot of rubber on the tires. So you not only are lighter in the rear end, you also got a lot less grip. So you sort of slow down. You're running a lot slower pace than what you were, and you're waiting for that new rubber to get your old pace back.
Riding with the Granger team, Greg Biffle around the 16 of Jimmy Hensley. Jimmy was put a lap down moments ago, running in the 20th spot. Hensley is. You see Jimmy right behind. Now as Biffle picks his way through traffic, you've got to be careful here. You've got Randy Renfro just ahead of you, and there's no rush. Clearly, as you see, folks, just 69 of 200 laps. No need to force the issue quite yet.
And you got to know if the guy in front of you, Eli, the guy that you're lapping, has a push. One time Joe Ruttman tried to pass me in turn 2. I could not hold my truck down, and I ended up bumping him into the wall. So as you pass and you're faster, you have to know if the guy in front of you is struggling anywhere.
Now there's Biffle in second. He is 1 9/10 seconds down to that man. If you want to see what that looks like on the Milwaukee Mile, there it is. 1.9 from first back to second. Then it is another full second back to third place Ruttman as we ride now with Biffle in second and the Granger team.
I promise you, though, Eli, Biffle is not racing Busch at this time. Biffle is only racing Ruttman. They're giving him times how far back Ruttman is. They're going to let him go get Busch later on.
CBS Sports is live.
Turn there.
Yep.
Wow.
We are live in Milwaukee, the Milwaukee 200. The first of 3 NASCAR races you'll be seeing live on CBS this weekend. Right now, Kurt Busch with the best seat in the house.
This CBS Sports Race Summary is sponsored by Ford. The latest innovations, the greatest traditions.
After those 74 laps with pit stops now in the offing, we have seen the lead held by Kurt Busch, Randy Tolsma, and Greg Biffle. Only one caution, lap 21, when Donnie Morlock spun in turn number 1. Pit stops now the name of the game as you look at the race leader, Greg Biffle. Why is Biffle leading? Because Kurt Busch came in to make his pit stop at lap number 74.
There's a bunch of them.
Here's Terry Cook coming in. Others also making stops, including the race leader. Here comes Biffle peeling off the racetrack at lap number 76. It will hand the lead to Andy Houston. Let's go to the pits, Glenn.
We're doing 4 tires, all right?
And they just told Greg Biffle that they're going to do 4 tires. That's what Kurt Busch did when he came in. Also, Randy Tolsma, the 25. Biffle brings the truck in. They go around to the right side. So far, the pit stop has gone off without a hitch. Already around to the left side. Boy, the guy on the left front is really fast. Jackman just now got around. You know, guys, the pit boxes are so narrow here that it's easy to get too close to pit wall on the left side and not leave enough room for the Jackman. The truck is down and away in 22.6. Saw some sparks fly from the truck when he took off. I don't know what that was. We'll follow up on it.
Hey, Jerry Glanville, do you feel like it's an eternity when you're sitting there as a driver, even if your crew is lightning fast?
Well, you wonder what's taking so long, but Glenn mentioned that tire changer. I wish I'd have had him. He was excellent. He was fast. Watch this group get around. Another thing, be sure the jackman has room against the wall. That's the driver's job. But Glenn, you were right. That front tire changer is fast on Biffle's.
Now that was the race leader there, the 60 Andy Houston. When he came in, he hands the lead to Brian Reffner there in that multicolored number 3 truck from Menards. Outside of him, Dennis Setzer, who has made a pit stop already. We're in the middle of sequencing here.
Outside.
Riding with Brian Reffner in the Team Menard entry, now with the Team Mopar for Setzer. Pit stops continuing now. Brian Reffner will peel off and make his stop. This is lap number 79.
One thing on that pit stop, you asked me, Eli. As you sit there, you wait for the jack to drop. He's calling him into the pit. That 5-4-3, he's calling him where his pit is. Now you're sitting there, you're in the truck, and you can feel it being jacked up. When they drop the left side, if you're taking all 4, you don't look at anybody, you don't care where anybody is, you go. That's your key.
Glenn Jarrett.
Yeah, they made a major chassis adjustment on the truck on the right side, so he was having some handling problems. A little bit slow getting around, and now he's got him down and away. It was about 23 seconds even, guys. They lost a little bit of time on that exchange, but they did make a chassis adjustment on it as well.
So now the lead has cycled around to another Houston.
Clear all around right now. Clear all around.
Marty Houston takes over as the race leader. One pit stop you did not see was the 99 of Kurt Busch. It was routine, uneventful. It came at lap number 74. That's when we saw the lead change to Biffle, then Andy Houston, then Reffner, and now that blue and white truck. That's number 75, Marty Houston, who takes over the race lead.
And that truck used to be out of California. And what they've done, they've taken that whole truck team and brought it to North Carolina. And they've always had good parts. They've always had good sponsorship by Spears. He not only owns Spears, he owns the truck racing team.
Now, some of the teams chose to make their short pit stops, like at lap 75. Others are still going, now at lap number 82, 83. Let's get an update on Joe Ruttman's pit stop of earlier. Steve?
Eli, Joe Ruttman came in, and his crew chief, Danny Gill, had him put on 4 new tires. And get this, Jerry Glanville, they had a 4-tire pit stop under 19 seconds. That's a great stop in this series.
Good point, Steve. That's Winston Cup times.
So Joe Ruttman having a great stop earlier, but now you're looking at Marty Houston. He is the race leader. Ran 19 events a year ago in this series, following his brother Andy onto the tour. We have caution. We have caution on the speedway now, as debris has come out onto the racetrack, and caution is on the speedway. So at the tail end of this sequence of pit stops, we have caution. Lap number 86. And we're going to come right back with more of the Milwaukee 200 on CBS after this. That's coming up this evening, the Pepsi 400 at the World Center of Racing. Dale Jarrett, Ricky Rudd sharing the front row. Jarrett trying to repeat the trip to victory lane that he enjoyed 1 year ago. Jerry Glanville, that's going to be a dandy come this evening at 8 o'clock. We've got ourselves a great race going right here. We've got a good mix of youngsters and oldsters alike.
Well, what's kind of fun is Houston's leading the race, and this time last year, he started behind me. So I feel kind of good.
Pit stops are still underway. We are at lap number 87 right now. Teams were choosing earlier to make just those 2 tire changes because those are the rules under caution for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
So if you want 4 new ones, you got to come in twice.
Ciphered that well, didn't you?
I did good.
Yeah.
I didn't major in math. I got to talk about the Pepsi tonight. You said you're buying Chinese. We're going to get Chinese to go, and we're going to sit in a hotel and watch that race tonight.
That's it. That is the agenda this evening.
Well, if you're ordering Chinese, I always order number 8. That's the best.
Folks, Sunday on 60 Minutes, it might make sense to you, but it didn't to 60 Minutes, that the Army ruled a captain's death was suicide and not murder. That story Sunday on 60 Minutes. You like number 8 on the carryout menu,
Number
do you?
8, that's the way to go.
Yeah. Glad you're with us, folks, working the second caution flag of the afternoon. The first caution came out at lap 21 when Donnie Morlock spun in turn number 1, and we had a big old chunk of debris at the start-finish line here at Milwaukee, and that brought out caution number 2 at lap number 86. Steve, we're about 1 lap away from going back to green, and it looked like all the questions about how the new tire here would be adapting to these trucks has been answered. These guys seem to be getting a good grip off the racetrack.
Eli, remember a little while ago we talked about taking a spring rubber out? Well, Jack Sprague just did that in the 24 truck. They took a left rear spring rubber out, and I want to show you another way these guys can check on tires. This is called a pyrometer. They can put this inside the tire. They'll check it on the outside, in the middle, and on the inside, and this tells them there's a little misconception here. They're not doing the tire surface. They want to find out what the patch underneath the belt is, because they're concerned about how much of this path is actually on the racetrack, Jerry Glanville.
And what that does is they get the temperature reading. Good point, Steve. And that's not the driver, and that's not the tire. That's the crew chief. When he reads those tire temperature, he has to make that adjustment. There goes the tire.
Do we dare say you picked a fine time to leave me loose wheel?
Oh, I guess so.
I don't know. We are staying under caution clearly for that problem on the 93 truck of Wayne Edwards out of Louisville, Kentucky. His Chevy is trying to adapt the new style.
Would you say that somebody that was doing the rear tires didn't get all those bolts on tight?
So we are under caution yet again. Problems there for the number 93 of Wayne Edwards. And while we have a moment, why don't we break away? CBS Sports coverage of the Milwaukee 200 will continue after this message and a word from your local station. Turning to green in just moments. Watch what happened on pit road, Jerry Glanville.
Well, these two started side by side on the race, and they get side by side coming into the pits. A little brush right there.
The blue truck, Scott Riggs. The white truck, Randy Renfro.
And that makes you mad. Nothing makes you madder than banging somebody in the pits.
Or a little love on the racetrack. And as we near halfway, Kurt Busch, Joe Ruttman, Greg Biffle. Here goes
truck.
Busch, trying to put the 2 of Mike Wallace
Outside, you're pulling him.
back a lap down.
Outside, he's still outside. He gave that up. Still 1 more outside. 3's outside.
Listen to that spotter talking to Busch. What a great job the
Going on
spotter's
the bottom.
doing.
Wouldn't you love to have had a spotter like that?
Well, if I had a spotter like that, I probably wouldn't have wrecked so much. I did have a good spotter. I had B.J. Fisher. He was a good one.
The 3 also being put a lap down there on the exchange, Brian Refner. As we ride with Mike Wallace and the Team ASE truck. There goes 6th spot swapping around. Just got a good look at Jack Sprague in the 24, grabbing it away from the 75 of Marty Houston. '16, Jimmy Hensley, another veteran of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. How'd your favorites do on those pit stops? Kurt Busch's guys did him a favor from 3rd to 1st in the comfort of pit lane.
Clear, you're clear.
Greg Biffle's team telling him you're clear of Mike Wallace's
Clear all around.
And for you people at home, once you hear the word clear, that tells the driver he can drive anywhere he wants. Low, high, brake, do whatever he wants to do. So when you hear the word clear, that means you're in charge.
The Sitco Super Guard onboard camera. That was Randy Tolsma. There he is right behind Joe Ruttman. And they're battling for 4th and 5th. trucks on the lead lap right now. The 60 of Houston running up with the race leaders. Matter of fact, led early in the day at lap number 75.
And some good trucks are a lap down. You said only 12 on the lead. You got Mike Wallace already a lap down. That doesn't happen too often.
Mike Wallace in the 2, riding with the Team ASC entry. There's that green and orange 88 of Terry Cook. He's in 15th spot.
You gotta love the sound of that motor, Eli. That's the big carburetor. That's the 830 carburetor pulling all that horsepower down that straightaway.
Everybody looking for their little piece of real estate. There's Donnie Morlock's truck. You see on the right of your screen? He was the guy who brought out the very first caution of the day at lap 21. He has just returned 75 laps down, but he's out to get as many points as he can in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Oh, Dennis Setzer there behind Mike Wallace, trying to get a jump into the corner, but the 2 truck doing a job keeping everybody else at bay.
You can see Dennis a little bit underneath, but he comes up to the wall on the straightaway.
Andy Houston. Houston running. There's Tolsma. They're with his guys. Let's see what kind of numbers Randy Tolsma is posting.
8,900, 150 down that straightaway.
Get a good look here on the main straightaway now. Most everybody's been tickling 150, and again, pretty much the same.
Again, that back straightaway, Eli, being about 8-9 mile an hour faster than this front straightaway.
If you're a fan of Stevie Reeves.
And who is it?
He's a good one. Regretfully, he's just taken his truck to the garage. That's a battle for position, albeit not on the lead lap. 88 Cook and the 2 Wallace with whom we were riding there, battling for 14th. The GMAC truck, the 24 of Jack Sprague, he is in 6th. And now as we've reached halfway, that's the RC Cola onboard camera, Scott Riggs, out of Durham, North Carolina. Let's see what his telemetry looks like.
Right at 87. He's not rattling at that 9 grand.
He's in 16th spot.
Two trucks in front of him there bumped Eli, and I think he lifted.
Look at that. Look at Sprague thinking about 3 wide, and he's not even in that battle for position.
Oh, a little bump there. That's what I love about the trucks. They got Cook hung out to the outside. I don't think he wants to be there, but there's no room to come down. There he goes.
Sprague, the 24, is on the lead lap in 6th. Scott Riggs, with whom we're riding now out of Durham, North Carolina, keeping up with the leaders, but he's a lap down in 16th. And finally, Sprague gets some breathing room, getting around the lap traffic. Again on board the Team ASC Ultra Wheels entry for Mike Wallace.
They gave Mike Wallace the high sign there for fighting him so hard. Did you see it?
Yep.
I don't think 24 was too happy.
Mike won here back in 1994 in the NASCAR Busch Series. And on board with Scott Riggs. Out of Durham, North Carolina, the Dodge that Stacy Compton had 1 season ago before moving up to NASCAR Winston Cup competition.
Oh, it got a little high.
Easy to have happen on a flat track.
Absolutely. Rode up a little high on him. He won't be able to turn the RPMs because he had to wait on the motor. He couldn't turn the truck
If you're just joining us, we are live in Milwaukee, just past halfway of the Milwaukee 200. Sixth time that the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series has visited this venerable 1 mile layout. We have seen Kurt Busch lead today, Randy Tolsma, Greg Biffle, Andy Houston, Brian Ruffner, and Marty Houston. And now Busch is again leading. And look who's back in the hunt again. There's the 43 truck, the Petty Enterprises entry. Steve Grissom on the lead lap in 9th, and Steve Burns wasn't long before that he had problems. Remember, he had to come down the pit lane with that flat tire on lap 21.
Hey, Eli, he had trouble right from the start. Remember, he was 14th, got almost turned around on lap 1, lost 6 positions. As you said, had a flat tire on lap 21. Well, he has fought to stay on the lead lap. They came in on lap 86 and put on right side tires, and now he's in a position to be a factor at the end of this race.
And that team now has really no true crew chief. They have crew chiefing by committee because Fred Wanke, who was the crew chief, resigned back in May, and this weekend Chris Hussey is here. He works for Petty Enterprises in the NASCAR Busch Series, and they run here tomorrow, a race you'll see on CBS. So Chris Hussey has come on over to kind of help out that crew chiefing by committee on the number 43 truck.
Well, of all people, Eli, you got to be one guy that loves the driver number 43, Steve Grissom. He's the guy that played linebacker at Alabama, and he's built like a linebacker. You can tell he's never been a jockey like some of these drivers.
From Gadsden, Alabama, as you see a good battle now between the 18 Ruttman and the 25 Tolsma. That is 3rd place. They are 4 2/10 seconds behind Kurt Busch, the race leader. But that is a good battle right there, as Ruttman and Tolsma will move inside of the 72 of Randy McDonald. Let's check in with Glenn.
You're talking about Randy Tolsma in the 25 truck giving Joe Ruttman a run for his money there. One of the reasons he's able to do that, they make some adjustments on their green flag stop. They did not lose a lap. The caution enabled them to catch up to the field, but Randy had them take some air out of the round of wedge out of the rear of the truck. The truck was just too tight. We told you earlier on they expected loose conditions. They adjusted that. He likes the truck a whole lot better. He's able to turn the truck in the center of the corner much better now. They really think they may have something for Biffle and Busch later on in the race.
Meanwhile, up front, Kurt Busch, the man who leads the series Rookie of the Year battle by 91 points over Carlos Contreras, leads the race by 1.5 seconds on Biffle.
CBS Sports presentation of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series is sponsored by Goodyear, #1 in tires. Doc Otis, a new flavored alcohol malt beverage, real lemon, real refreshment. Unlock the Doc. And by Ford Outfitters, no boundaries.
There is Kurt Busch. He is the race leader. Prior to today, the most laps that he had led was 74 in the race in Memphis, Tennessee. At this stage of the afternoon, Kurt Busch has led 72 already, and still lots of racing to go. You saw him go around that green truck. That was Billy Kahn, who has returned to the race. Hey, you just see him near the top of the screen. If you're a fan of Billy's, he is 62 laps down after an extended stay in the garage area. Others making moves. Lance Norrick in the 90 coming towards us there, just ahead of Corelli.
And that's an interesting sponsor on that truck, Eli. You'll have to say the name of that sponsor. But what it is, it's the ingredients that help you if you're a hemophiliac. And they have 150, 200 kids come to every race. And it's actually the medicine that if you and I were a bleeder, that's the medicine that you'd have to get to help you stop the bleeding if you're a hemophiliac.
Aventus Bearing, the sponsor on that number 90 truck. They have had 6 DNFs 6 times this year. Those two trucks together, actually, the 90 of Lance Norrick and the 66 of Rick Corelli, 6 races each this year that they have failed to finish, and that's the most on the series. Let's check in Corelli's pit, get an update from those folks.
Eli, I talked to Mitch Jarrett, who's kind of the acting crew chief here on pit road. There was concern about fluid leaking on the 66 of Rick Corelli's. Mitch Jarrett tells me that they think it's power steering fluid.
Well, hopefully it is not for Rick Corelli. That is a handful. I mean, in the old days, of course, Jared, they went without power steering, but the trucks or the cars in those days were set up that way. Now you take away the pump and you're in a hurt.
Oh, not only that, I think the drivers in the old days were bigger and more physical.
Caution on the speedway with turn 2 having a problem. Coy Gibbs brings out the caution for the 3rd time, lap number 119. He and his brother JD split the driving chores this year in that truck, and this was Coy's weekend, but doesn't look as though he's going to be the one to win it.
Well, I spent yesterday afternoon coaching him a little bit, and I told him, I says, I can coach you better than your dad, Joe can.
Was that one of your patented moves
well,
there?
That's what I told him. I says, if you get in a wreck, you can blame me. You can tell your dad. That old coach from the Falcons was working with me.
Well, I dare say that is going to be the line that is going to be put forward to Coach Joe. There's the tail end. What happens when a truck breaks loose? In all seriousness, Jerry, we laugh, but in all seriousness, do you just overdrive a flat corner? Is that what happens?
Well, it's really how the car is set up, or the truck is set up too. He may have, I don't know how many laps he has on this tire, but his tires could be getting greasy. Sometimes you feel like you're skating on ice with your tires, and you have to slow down. I think what you learn after years, when it's not handling right, whether it's a truck or car, Eli, slow down. Don't try to keep driving fast until you get the mishandling fixed.
He has some 44 laps, 44 miles on this set of tires, so
he's probably getting a little greasy. Probably wondering, am I driving on ice? What's happening to these tires?
You see the spotters. Those fellas in uniform are on the roof of the main grandstand here at the Milwaukee Mile in radio communication with their teams below. And now pit stops at lap number 121. You've got Busch, Biffle, and Ruttman to Steve Burns.
And Joe Ruttman's and Eli, they had a great 4-tire stop last time. This time they're going to put on left side tires. A little bit of trouble on the left rear. Let's check in with Glenn Jarrett.
And the leader, Kurt Busch, comes in, and he will put left side tires as well on his truck. Right behind him, Randy Tolsma and his crew chief, Gary Showalter, have chosen to put right sides on. This could well determine the race, guys, who gets out of the pits first, and it looks like Kurt Busch does that.
Right sides versus left sides, Coach.
That's really a call that you get on a flat track. You make the same call at Las Vegas that you do here. When you don't have that banking, you got to decide which side will help you grip the best.
That is the voice of Jerry Glanville joining us on the telecast today. Glad you're with us here in Milwaukee, working caution for the 3rd time this afternoon in the Milwaukee 200. Kurt Busch surviving the pit stops to retain the lead. Welcome back, everybody. Kurt Busch, Joe Ruttman, Greg Biffle, followed by Randy Tolsma and Dennis Setzer. That is the running order. America Online users, for the most in-depth sports news and information, click on AOL Sports or enter keyword CBS Sportsline. Just click on Auto Racing. You can get all the information as well. And coming up next, the Pepsi 400 preview show. Then tonight in prime time, NASCAR's hottest wheels return to Daytona under the lights for the Pepsi 400. Dale Jarrett, Ricky Rudd. Pretty good front row.
A couple of Robert Yates motors there. We haven't talked about Robert Yates, the engine builder. There's 2 of them.
Talked about how Roush's power is dominating here in Milwaukee. Robert Yates and his team's doing the job in Daytona. Some Dana Dodge fans on hand for Joe Ruttman. Ruttman running in 2nd. There he is behind the 99. You realize that 22 drivers in today's field were born after Joe Ruttman made his first career start in NASCAR Winston Cup competition. You realize that Joe started in a Mercury in Riverside, California in 1963. To put it in Winston Cup terms, that was 8 years before Jeff Gordon was even born.
And you know he'll help you. One time I asked him to get in my truck. We were at Phoenix. It wasn't handling right. I said, Joe, get in there and tell me what's wrong. And he's the type of guy, he jumps in there and he'll say, fix this, fix that. And he'll help anybody that'll ask for help.
Steve, does Dana Ebersol think that they have a shot here to grab the lead from Busch?
Eli, let's find out. Danny Gill is the crew chief on the 18 of Joe Ruttman. Danny, tell us about your strategy. Can you get by him, and can you make it on gas?
Well, Dana Dodge is working pretty good. We've been fighting loose all day, so we tried some left side tires yesterday in happy hour, and it tightened us up a little bit. So we decided to go with left side tires, full of fuel. I think we can go to the end. It's going to be real close.
All right, we'll keep an eye on the gas. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
Well, thanks, Steve. You know, we talked about tire wear at the top of the show and tire management. Here's Randy Tolsman's guys checking the tire wear right now to see how it has been. Billy Hodges with Goodyear tells me so far today tire wear has been excellent. The trucks that are tight, they've been wearing out one end of the truck. The trucks that are loose, they've been wearing out the back end of the truck. Tight trucks wear out the front end. That's the way it should be. We're ready to go green.
As the field comes off turn 4, remember too with the tires, the left side tire is that new generation tire. The right side tire is the one the teams have had at Pocono over the years and at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Two of Mike Wallace, with whom we're riding, still a lap down. He's in 13.
I think he's going to be in the mix. He's all over a Ruttman, and when you're that fast and you're a lap down, you can really be in the mix, and he's been that way.
He needs to get to the front and then catch a caution. 50 is Greg Biffle. You're just joining us. Greg is going for a record-setting 4th consecutive victory in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
Oh, Wallace went high there.
Randy Tolsma in the 25. Again, he and the 2 truck not on the same lap. But Dennis Setzer gives us this great view from the Mopar entry of Wallace and the 2 trying to scramble to the front. Be in position to get one of his laps back if he can. Tolsma now rearward. Look at the different line. Wallace in that white truck staying wide, while Setzer in that black with whom we're driving now, he stays low.
And that could be entirely based on what set of tires you took, Eli. If you took the outside tires, you should be able to run the lower line. If you took the inside tires, it'll be the other way.
After the problems earlier, Coy Gibbs back on the pit lane. He brought out the caution after tagging the turn 2 wall, you'll remember, back at lap 119. Oh, and that time Mike Wallace goes way high. And at that point, Jerry, you just got to totally get off the gas and stomp on the brakes, huh?
Well, what you have to do, too, you're a lap down. Don't interfere with the people on the lead lap. Quit racing the people that are on the lead lap if you're not handling. That's what he has to do.
Remember, Wallace there is 1 lap behind the race leaders in his 2 truck. He's battling 88 now for position. That's Terry Cook. There's Steve Grissom in the 43, and back to that battle again for 14th spot.
And there's Terry Cook coming underneath him, too. I'm impressed with Terry Cook. Not a big finance team, but a team that runs up front, and the driver does a good job out of Sylvania, Ohio.
First got everybody's attention last year when he won the pole at Flemington Speedway in New Jersey. And then learned and progressed. Got comfortable on the bigger tracks. And then, of course, had that great finish that we had talked about earlier today in Daytona. Fuel mileage situations, Coach. The leaders came in at lap 121 of 200 laps. 79 miles ought to be doable.
They ought to be able to do that, and what'll make it doable if they have one more caution. If they run any laps not under full throttle, that'll make it work.
Unscheduled stop for Dennis Setzer. Dennis Setzer comes in at lap 132. He was in at lap 121. But clearly, there's a problem, as you see from his view. It's got to be frustrating. You see Howard Comstock, the crew, and everybody going to work, and you, as a driver, just sitting there, Coach.
Well, they just took the wheel off and threw it, and that means they told him he was done. Once they tell you you're done, I've never seen the driver set the wheel on the dash. You always throw it. He's mad, and something happened to that Dodge motor. Don't know whether they were winding it too far or what, but they're broke.
Dennis Setzer was running 5th when his problems cropped up, sending him to the pit lane at lap 132. Meanwhile, that's the spread from the leader back to the battles behind him. 1 second on the racetrack. Kurt Busch. And then that second truck in line, Joe Ruttman, he is second on the leaderboard. The first truck in that pack, the number 3 of Brian Ruffner. He is not on the lead lap. He is in 11th. A few laps ago, we showed you Mike Wallace going way wide in the corner. Remember that he has an onboard camera. Watch this here. He's on the backstretch heading to turn 3, Coach.
And not as bad as turn as 1. You can usually go in there a little hotter. He's a little too hot. He cannot turn it.
See it wiggle?
He's off the gas waiting. He's off the gas. And you wait till you can turn it before you come back with gas.
Here's another onboard look from the Randy Renfro truck looking rearward.
Man, did he wobble. He had a real problem there. Looked like he locked up a brake, like the front rotor locked up on him.
As Jerry was telling you, Dennis Setzer's day is done. While we're watching this on-track activity, they have pushed Dennis's truck to the garage. As now problems for second place, Joe Ruttman in the person of Greg Biffle. Biffle makes the move in the 50. He'll grab second. Here comes Tolsma in the 25. He will grab third. And possibly we might even see Ruttman lose 4th to Jack Sprague.
Well, that makes up for Biffle losing that position in the pits. He had to back up in the pits, as Glenn told us, and he got behind Ruttman. Well, he's fortunate now he got back in front of Joe.
So things swapping around. Joe Ruttman works hard in that 18 truck to keep Jack Sprague behind him. So Ruttman hangs on to the 4th spot, and Sprague is in 5th.
31-1.
But as Dennis Setzer's day is done, Kurt Busch still eyeing his first career win. Folks, Wednesday on CBS begins with Survivor, the #1 show in America. Who will be voted off the island next? Don't miss it. Then the exciting premiere of Big Brother. 10 people will live in a house for 3 months, and you get to decide who stays and who goes. The last one left wins fame and fortune. Plus, for 2 of the survivors, real life wasn't enough. But what price will these TV survivors pay for fame? Don't miss 48 Hours. It's all new Wednesday on CBS. Caution here at Milwaukee for a problem for that man. Brian Ruffner, the Johns Manville Menards machine, found the wall at lap 141.
My brake bias in here says RMC. Does that mean I crank to the R for rear or what? It seems like it's backwards.
That's the side that the master cylinders are on.
So as the team...
Well, we spun out. I cranked a whole bunch of rear brake. Thought I was cranking front.
They talk over their problems. Caution is on the speedway here at the Milwaukee Mile. Again, let's take a look at what happened. Look for the #3 truck.
He's already spun. He got up in the grade. He's out of the groove. It's real easy to back in the wall here. Hit kind of soft. Don't think he broke anything. He just, here, it won't turn. The nose won't turn. Now he's on the brake. He got on a brake real quick, so he didn't hit real hard. Sometimes when you spin him, Eli, you don't want to brake. You want to hit the gas as hard as you can and bring it all the way around, but he got on a brake quick.
The leaders are pitting, Glenn, lap 143.
99 Kurt Busch is in. This will be right side tires. Everybody, and he gets out first. Greg Biffle changes right sides. He gets out second. Randy Tolsma goes with lefts, and he comes out third. Actually, guys, what we were seeing was the exact opposite of what they changed last time. Remember, they can only change 2 tires per stop under caution.
So as soon as they get a lot of laps, whether it's the right or the left, what Glenn's saying is they're replacing the oldest set of tires, whatever they had on there.
Meanwhile, in the garage area, Dennis Setzer's day is done. Steve Burns has caught up with him.
Eli, tough break for Dennis. Came in here 6th in points. Dennis, what put you behind the wall?
We had something in the engine, you know. I was really proud of the Team Mopar guys. They done a good job. They proceeded forward all day, had a good truck, and had some good stops under us right there, but just an unfortunate deal.
Thanks, Dennis.
That will be the 3rd DNF. Did not finish of this season for Dennis Setzer. He has 9 top 10 finishes in the other 11 races. So it's either been feast or famine for that Mopar team. Dennis Setzer, his afternoon is done. But our afternoon is not done. We've got more racing from Milwaukee, then the Pepsi 400 preview coming up next. Beautiful day for racing here in Milwaukee. Kurt Busch, first time ever, won the pole. First time in his career he was leading at halfway. He has led the most laps. Second time that's happened to him this season. Could he win for the first time? Or is Greg Biffle going to win and become the first driver ever to win 4 consecutive events in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series?
They're pushing everybody up, so be careful there.
They are bunching up
behind Busch. Fucking left rear.
Back underway, 53 miles, 53 laps from the finish.
You're clear.
You see the 50 Biffle. 25 to the outside, that's Randy Tolsma. Quickly, things stabilize on the racetrack. Jack Sprague. And around they go. Terry Cook in the wall. Caution on the speedway. Houston spins. All of this at lap 147 here in Milwaukee. Cook and Corelli were those two right there. Then to try and avoid the situation, Marty Houston spun. Mike Wallace trying to get his lap back, could not do so in the number 2 truck. 99 Busch kept Mike Wallace behind, so Wallace still a lap down. And what began as a full-size Chevy truck looks more like a little gremlin now. Let's watch what happens, Coach.
Well, and Cook's been having a great day.
Oh, he and Corelli got together.
Right together, and they've been together all day, trying battling each other for the position, and they just rubbed going into turn 1. There's not much room in turn 1.
You see Renfro sliding by. Marty Houston also sliding by.
They're right here. There's the 2. And really, I got to say, I think Cook pulled it down. He was riding a little bit high, and I think he pulled right into Corelli. Cook was having a good day, but I think he caused that.
And Mike Wallace, try as he did, not able to get his lap back. You see him, he'll restart in the 2 truck to the inside. He gave it the great run, but just got beaten at the line by Kurt Busch.
Well, he is frustrated because he knows he's as fast as everybody on the lead lap, and he knows if he gets there, he'll have a shot. So he's frustrated. He's fighting hard trying to get that, and you watch how he'll race this guy. Now, by NASCAR rules, the leader starts this race. So number 2, Wallace, cannot hit the gas first. He has to wait for Busch to hit the gas before they go.
What is Greg Biffle's mindset now?
Well, really, when I'm listening to Biffle and I'm listening to their spotters, I think Biffle is just right where he wants to be. I don't think he'll make a move till later in the race.
Is he thinking big picture? Is he thinking series championship right now? Or is he thinking that history-making 4th consecutive win, do you think?
Oh, knowing him, he's going to try to win this race, even though that's his teammate in front of him. But he's not going to get himself in serious trouble till it comes time to go win that. And the one thing I love Busch Spotter is telling him every lap what the times are behind him. He's saying to him, don't worry, they're running a 31.4. Don't worry, they're running these times. Just be smooth. Well, one time he's going to say, guess what? Biffle is a half a second faster than you, and then we'll see the race.
Rich Rockenbach, the spotter for the 99 of Kurt Busch.
He's going to start right next to Kurt. He's mad at him because he didn't let him have his lap back, probably.
Indeed, some emotions bubbling around. Let's ride here with Scott Riggs in the RC Cola Dodge. And the view that he had getting through that accident in turn 1.
Joe Ruttman got tapped in the rear end, but he hung on and didn't lose it.
And Terry Cook, his afternoon and his truck shortened.
And he was having a good race. I think he's a potential star in this series.
So we're under caution here at the Milwaukee Mile for the 5th time. Coming this Wednesday on CBS, 10 people will live in this house for 3 months. You'll see everything that happens, and you get to decide who stays and who goes. The last one left wins fame and fortune. Big Brother premieres this Wednesday right after Survivor on CBS.
Why can't you and I be one of those? Why can't we get in on that show, Eli?
We're trying to attract viewers, Coach.
Well, I know one thing. If we got in there and the viewers got the vote, we'd be the first ones out.
Heck, Jerry, you've been a lifetime survivor, my friend. Let's go downstairs to pit road.
Eli, Terry Cook's crew has just pushed the truck behind pit wall. Terry's still in the truck. Terry, what happened, and can you get back out?
I'm not sure. We got a lot of body damage in the back. I don't know if we have any actual chassis damage, but just looks like the 66 got up into us getting into turn 1. I'm not sure if I come down on him or he slid up into me. I thought I was just holding my line getting in the corner, so I think he got up into us. But tough break for the pickuptruck.com Chevrolet Silverado. We had a great run going early and got a problem with the pit stop and got down a lap and we're just crawling our way back to the front, and just a shame.
So the field getting the 1-to-go signal. Greg Biffle continuing to try and chase a dream of 4 consecutive wins. There is Greg Biffle, the Team Granger truck. He won at Pikes Peak in Colorado. He won at Texas. He inaugurated the brand new Kentucky Speedway with a victory. And then at Watkins Glen a weekend ago, on the road course, he was a winner. If you're not familiar, Mike Skinner won 3 races in succession in this series back in 1996. He won at Tucson, the Erie Speedway in Colorado, and Heartland Park in Topeka. Then Ron Hornaday won 3 in a row in 1997 here in Milwaukee, then at Louisville, and again in Colorado. But no driver has ever won 4 consecutive NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series events. We've got this track covered for you. Now watch the number 2 truck. Mike Wallace to try and get a lap back. He is inside of our leader, Kurt Busch.
Well, nice job by Wallace.
Green flag, green flag.
I think Wallace started that restart.
This is not for the lead, but it is for Wallace to get back on the lead lap, and he is there.
You gotta remind him.
But Kurt Busch is coming right back.
You got a good run going, Kurt. He's outside. He's outside. He's still out there.
We're listening to Busch's spotter, Rich Rockenbach. And Mike Wallace goes wide.
He's gone.
What a great job that spotter's doing.
All right, you just hit your marks now, kid. Hit your marks.
He's telling him, forget like anybody else is on the track, Eli. Hit your marks means you're there by yourself. Just do it and have good rhythm. That's what he's telling him.
Watch 25 Tolsma. Oops, problems on the speedway. That's Randy McDonald from Oshawa, Ontario, Canada, slowing on the track as Tolsma grabs second from Biffle. Jerry, when they talk about hitting your marks, is it a physical mark on the speedway, or is it an arbitrary mark? You were telling me, look at that particular billboard in the corner you were pointing out to me this morning. That's where you let off and so on. Does a driver really use that kind of a physical location?
No, he's really telling them to feel comfortable and feel smooth. The marks are really for the spotter. He doesn't know when he's in the gas, but he knows it's smooth and it feels good.
Glenn, Randy Tolsma rumbling again.
On that last pit stop they made, Crew Chief Gary Showalter threw the toolbox at it. The truck had been tight all day. They raised the track bar. They took more bite out of it, and they put left side tires on it. Looks like they may have hit the right combination. And one other thing, I was watching the guys in the back of their pits a while ago. One of them picked up a penny he found lying on the ground, and it was heads up. He says that's the key to their victory.
Well, any little bit will help in this day and age of NASCAR competition. Randy McDonald does make it around, so there will be no need for a caution, though this may be the first race this year that he does not find himself running at the day's end.
And that's tough on Randy. Randy does not have a crew chief. He has nobody to help him make the calls. If he had a crew chief, he'd be running up front. Well, one thing Glenn said about that penny in racing, if that was tails up,
in the middle on you that time.
If it's tails up, every racer turns that penny over and leaves it.
Riding with Tolsma. Jerry, who has the edge? Forgetting truck preparation, because both teams obviously very good. Does the veteran Tolsma have a significant edge on the rookie Kurt Busch here? Oh, Joe Ruttman is out of the event. Joe Ruttman to the garage. Steve, what happened?
Eli, I was just about to say that last caution that came out on 142 was a big break for Ruttman because they put on right side tires, but we don't know what happened right now. We'll go find out and follow up with him.
He first won here in a USAC stock car in 1979. His brother Troy Ruttman won here way back in 1956, but no Ruttman to victory lane today. Getting back to the edge, veteran versus rookie. What does Tolsma know, do you think, Jerry, that Busch does not?
I think Busch is a different type of rookie, and you brought it out earlier in the week. He's at all those second places. I think he's got enough skill, and I think really the spotter is doing such a good job with Busch that he'll be able to help keep Tolsma behind him.
Remember, Terry Cook was involved in that spin a little while ago. He is back on the track 11 laps down. So if you're following Terry Cook's progress today, he is out there in 23rd spot, 11 laps behind that man, Kurt Busch.
And somewhere we're going to hear the spotter say, Kurt, do not look in your mirror. Forget he's back there and just drive. They're going to say, do not look in the mirror, do your thing. And that's how you get a rookie to try to pull away from a veteran.
Let's get an update now on Joe Ruttman. Steve, what's he saying?
He's just pulled behind the wall. Eli, Joe, what put you out with the hood up?
I didn't really copy that real good, but the motor started missing real bad, and something happened to the valve train in it.
So Joe Ruttman is done. So too Randy McDonald. They have pushed his truck behind the wall. So the attrition list has B.A. Wilson and Ryan McGlynn, Jamie McMurray and Stevie Reeves. Wayne Edwards is done. So's Coy Gibbs, Dennis Setzer, Joe Ruttman and Randy McDonald. Don't forget, coming up next, the Pepsi 400 preview show. Then tonight in prime time, NASCAR's hottest wheels return to Daytona under the lights for the Pepsi 400. We're getting down to it, 34 miles, 34 laps to settle the Milwaukee 200. Kurt Busch, Randy Tolsma, separated by 0.4 of a second. And there's Greg Biffle. He is now 2 7/10 seconds back. Glenn, what happened?
Well, let's ask Randy Goss, the crew chief. Randy, it looks like he's fading a little bit. He's back to 4th. Is he saying anything about the truck? What's wrong?
He hadn't said a word. There's nothing wrong right now. He wanted to go after our teammate there, Kurt Busch, and we don't have enough for him right now. So what he decided to do is back up, take a look at the Spragster, and try to race him for the championship.
Okay, that's a polite way of saying that they changed 2 tires that time, guys, and it didn't really work with the truck. Sometimes in this series, you can only change, or all the time, you can only change 2 tires in the caution. Sometimes it upsets the balance on the truck. I think that's what happened.
And when Randy talked about him racing Jack Sprague, as we ride with Greg Biffle now, Sprague is 54 points behind Biffle. They are first and second. Biffle leading Sprague in the series point championship. Of course, you talk about how things have changed. Last year, after 13 races, Sprague was 102 points up on Greg Biffle. And there you see, from Biffle, 3.3 seconds back to that man, Kurt Busch.
And Kurt Busch is the class of the field. He is smooth going in. I did see him wiggle right there. Once in a while, he jumps on the gas hard in 2, and he makes his truck wiggle. Other than that, it's a flawless ride.
You see Terry Cook there. We told you he is back 11 laps down after the accident.
Clear that guy.
Donnie Morlock in the number 4 truck involved in the first accident of the day. He's 75 laps down.
Then you heard Busch's spotter say again, you're clear. That means get back on your marks, get back on the way you want to run.
Now Terry Cook, obviously with problems. Oh, he's lost the right front. You see how the right front of the truck is already dragging the ground, and that Goodyear Eagle has been cut to shreds, no doubt from his own sheet metal. Cook is back in 22nd spot.
He's lucky he didn't hit the wall, Eli.
Oh my!
Wow.
See Busch having to make a move as he laps the 14 truck of Ricky Crawford, who is now a lap down in 9th.
He must have come on him faster than he thought he was going to, Eli, because he had to make a quick move down inside.
14 helps you out a little bit. You're racing the 25 a little bit. You got about 6-8 lengths.
Watch this again. Maybe it was he just closed on Crawford so quickly. Here he comes. Crawford is in the red truck, and look at Busch. Woo. Unbelievable move. But it was saved nicely by Busch, the rookie. Can't overemphasize the fact that he is a first-year campaigner.
21 years old.
Behind Busch and Tolsma, Jack Sprague is running in 3rd. There he is. Then you're going to drop back another couple of seconds before you get back to the 14 of Crawford, who just went a lap down. Rick is in 9th, first truck a lap down. Then you've got Biffle in the 50. He's running 4th. He is 3.6 seconds behind the leader. There you've got Ron Morgan. Rob Morgan's truck right there with Bill Engel as the crew chief. Bill, a longtime NASCAR Winston Cup crew chief, took over after Martinsville. There's Mike Wallace in the Team ASE entry. He is in 10th, a lap down. The 60, Andy Houston, he's running in the 5th spot. He's 7 3/10 seconds behind the race leader. Well, things fairly spread out. Scott Riggs, 11th spot, a lap down. Solid run for him, though. He's got that distance there on Brian Reffner, who's running in 12th in the Team Menards truck. There's Steve Grissom. Remember, he had that unscheduled pit stop with the cut tire earlier. He's running in 6th for Petty Enterprises on the lead lap, having a super day. Imagine maybe where he'd be had he not had to make that unscheduled stop. Carlos Contreras, the number 12. He is another rookie, running in 13th. The 16 is Jimmy Hensley right behind him. He's in 14th. Rick Corelli is in 15th. Those 3 trucks are running for position, and so is that black and white of Randy Renfro. The number 41 truck, he is in 17th. So those machines battling for position as we're 24 miles from the finish. Others having some good runs. The 51, Michael Dokken. 75 is Marty Houston. And Dokken, as we said, he's in for Rick Ware. Ware was playing with his 5-year-old and threw his back out.
And I've raced Michael in a lot of series.
Yeah.
He's a very good driver, and I think if he ever got a full-time ride, and there's number 90. You talk about having a good run.
Lance Norrick, a super effort today.
He's up to 8th, isn't he?
Yep, running on the lead lap. Here's done himself awfully proud today. There's Donnie Morlock trooping around now in 29th spot. He's 79 laps down at this point of the day after being involved in the early caution. Then there's a good distance back until you get to that pack of traffic. 27 was the yellow truck right there. That's Andy Gensman, his Ford. You've got Kahn in that Interstate Batteries number 13. You've got Cook and Kahn bumping right there. Man, even if it's back in the field, 22nd and 27th places, they're bouncing off one another. And here comes Kurt Busch around again, our race leader. So that's everybody who is still on the speedway, as we are now 21 miles from the conclusion of the Milwaukee 200. Watch this again, even if they're battling way back.
Little bub, get out of my way.
How do you know how much you can expect to be hit and how much you can expect to hit the other guy before tempers get short?
Well, the only time I think I ever got mad, we were at the track in Louisville, and I got hit under caution. You don't like to get hit when you're going around under caution. Other than that, everything's fair.
Kurt Busch going around Terry Cook ever so gently. And there you see the 25 on that outside groove. That is 0.8 of a second from the 99 Busch back to the 25 Tolsma. Oh, there goes Mike Wallace into the wall. Caution on the speedway. Running in 9th spot. Mike Wallace brings out caution, and that's going to tighten things up here in the final handful of laps.
Looking at his right front tire, he knocked the toe in out.
What is it about turn 4, Coach? You know, we've laughed a good bit about the problems you've had here, and so many have been in turn 4. Why don't we see guys have a lot of trouble in turn 2?
Well, you feel better, and when you're coming out of 4, you feel that the truck or the car can take the gas. So you give it the gas, and it's easier to get in trouble. It looks like Wallace is mad there, but you got to be mad at yourself. And I've been there. I've done that in 4. You behave more in 2, and you misbehave in 4, and your truck will go up and smack that wall.
Now, we didn't see what began the incident. I wonder if he got help. Let's see if the 60 of Houston.
That's Mike in 2.
Ah, there it is.
Oh, he got bumped. No wonder he's mad.
Andy Houston shoves him out of the way.
Andy turned him around.
Houston was running 5th. And now we know why Mike looked as perturbed as he does right there center screen.
And he's telling the official right there what he did wrong.
18 laps, 18 miles left to settle it in Milwaukee. It is a July 4th weekend tradition. NASCAR racing in Milwaukee and Daytona. You'll be seeing it all here on CBS Sports. Under caution for Andy Houston's assist to Mike Wallace.
Little bump right on the right with his right front fender, and that's just enough to get you. I don't know if Mike pulled down or not, but Andy definitely bumped him in the quarter panel.
Wallace was running 9th. Here's what Scott Riggs saw.
Oh, no, not at all.
Doesn't look like Mike moved at all.
Andy actually got a push.
Here's what Mike felt.
Yep. Now, no brakes. Listen to that. That's Mike Wallace. That's why he can drive in any series. He never touched a brake. He floored it when he went in the spin trying to save it. He never did touch a brake. Totally opposite of what we saw earlier.
But Glenn, he couldn't drive out of it.
No, it's too bad because even though he lost that lap early, like you said, he was still in the top 10. But, you know, I was watching Andy Houston because I was checking his lap times against the leaders to see if he was gaining. And he was gaining a little time. And Andy, you know, was a truck on the lead lap. I'm not trying to take blame off of anybody or put blame on anybody. But, you know, Andy had a right to a piece of the racetrack, too. And he had been running behind Mike for a couple of laps there. Maybe it was just a little impatience. Maybe Andy thought he could catch the leaders, but just didn't work out that way. Too bad contact from him.
Hey, Glenn, what it looked like from up here on our replay, Andy got a push. I don't think anything was intentional. I think he couldn't make the turn, and he pushed up and bumped him.
Now, some teams are electing to come down the pit lane. Greg Biffle and Steve Grissom among them. Steve?
I just talked to Randy Goss, the crew chief on the number 50 truck, Eli. They have nothing to lose, they think, at this point. They're going to try different tires on the left side and see if they can make them run.
So they come in to make their stops. You see the NASCAR official, the bottom right of your screen, now putting that paddle out to green, and everybody pulls away. And Glenn Steve Grissom there is also in for that quick stop.
He changed left side tires as well, and he had a great pit stop, and his guys got him out in front of Greg Biffle. So they actually gained a position on that swap of pit stops, or at least they got a position on Biffle there. There are so few trucks on the lead lap, like you say, they had very little to lose, and maybe those fresh tires might pick up a couple of positions ahead of where they were running before they stopped.
Now, how about this, Coach? Let's throw Jack Sprague's name into this equation. All of a sudden in third, and very, very quietly has gotten into the mix.
And I've always heard you call him by a nickname you love, Flat Track Jack.
Indeed.
And we can't be on a flatter track than this. But I love what the guy said in the pits. Biffle had nothing to lose. He's got new tires, and there's so few guys on the lead lap. Are we into the single file restart also, right?
Well, not yet. Well, single file, we're at lap 185. The 10-lap rule is when it's single file, and the lead lap trucks will start behind the pace truck. But, of course, we're still under caution, too, so we'll have to see where we are once the field gets the one-to-go signal. But that is the 10-lap rule when you have the lead trucks or lead cars. It's the same in the Busch Series and the Winston Cup. Single file up front with all the lap machines running behind them.
If they hold this for, and I see the truck still on their turn one trying to fix it. You can see down here, if they hold this for another 4 laps, single file would get all the lap people out of the way.
Well, it looks as though track cleanup has pretty much been concluded. You know, we talked about Jack Sprague. You realize he is the only driver in the series now that Ron Hornaday has moved to the NASCAR Busch Series. Sprague is the only driver who will have completed every single lap that the Craftsman Truck Series will have ever run here at the Milwaukee Mile. He'll have completed all 1,150 of the series laps in history at this track, should he be around when the day is done. And he might just be in victory lane. You just never know. That's why this series has been so popular. See, the caution is still out. The chief starter there was Roy Selby from Yakima, Washington. He's going to give the field the one-to-go signal now.
And that means they can double up. The people that are down a lap can come up beside them.
The field now getting set to go racing. Quick reminder, folks, coming up as soon as we move aside at the top of the hour, the Pepsi 400 preview show. And then this evening, 8 p.m. Eastern, Daytona at the speed of light. The Pepsi 400 from the World Center of Racing coming up at 8 o'clock Eastern time this evening. Quickly back to pit road, Steve.
With Gary Showalter, the crew chief of Randy Tolsma. Gary, you look pretty calm up there on top of the pit box. It's time to show what you got now.
Well, the SuperGuard Dodge has been great all weekend. I don't know if we got anything for the 99. Randy's been doing a great job for us, so if he makes a mistake, I think we can capitalize on it.
Hey, you look pretty calm, though.
Well, we've been in this position before, and it's not over till it's over, and we've been leading and not won the race, so maybe it'll be different this time.
Now, the 86, Scott Riggs, is the first truck a lap down. He is running in 9th. We are going to go green before we get to that 10-lap to go segment, so it is still going to be double file. You heard them talking about Randy Tolsma in the 25 truck, who's running second. He had already finished second this year once at the Evergreen Speedway, the short track up in Monroe, Washington. His best super speedway finishes have both come this year. 3rd place at both Texas and Gateway International outside of St. Louis. As we're set to go back to green, nearing the finish of the Milwaukee 200.
Still inside. Now you're clear. Now you're clear. Now you're clear.
Busch and Tolsma now clear of race traffic. Look at the restart Kurt Busch has gotten. What does he have on the restart that the other guys don't?
It could be his transmission. Most people are running Jerichos, but you can pick your gears in your transmissions, and you have a different gear setup for each track. So if you know you're on a 1 mile flat track, he may have a better gear ratio than the other people on the restart.
That's 4th place there. 43, Grisham and the Granger truck both getting by Andy Houston.
Boy, Andy went real high in 2. He's lucky he saved it.
But Houston in that red and orange and yellow number 60 will backslide to 7th spot. And now his brother in the 75 truck, Marty Houston, will challenge him for that position.
Marty will get him right here in turn 1 and 2.
That is for 6th.
Right there you see Andy goes high coming out of 2, but boy, he's got a motor. Woo, look at that thing go.
Of course, if you had banking here, you'd say going wide, that keeps that motor wound up.
Good point. It's a different ball game on this flat track.
10 laps to go, now 9, as the leader, Kurt Busch, leads his group back. Kevin Harvick Lance Norrick, a super job. He's in the 90 truck. Still on the lead lap in 8th spot. The reason we're looking middle of the field is because the leader Busch is still up by 0.6 of a second on Randy Tolsma. Right now, this is where the action is. From 4th and 5th and 6th back towards 9th. Now the leader feeling some heat. Caution, turn 4. Problems on the speedway, and we have got caution. That is going to be the 13 of Billy Kahn. And caution flies at lap 192.
Well, Billy's had trouble. He's got that Interstate battery as a sponsor. He owns a franchise where he sells those batteries.
So Billy brings out the caution. Now we are, obviously, as you see, lap 193, now 194 of 200. So we are in that final 10-lap window. So we will go back to green with only the lead lap trucks up front.
Yellow, Matt.
And they will be in single file formation.
It'll be a single file restart when we go back green, Kurt.
And the spotter tells that to his driver.
And what happens now is number 99, Busch, can pick the gear he wants to restart in. And he can go slower if he likes his gear ratio. He can start in 2nd, or he can roll it off there quicker and start in 3rd. So because it's single file, he'll pick the gear that he wants to start this thing on.
There you see the spotters that we've been talking about. And
the only time it looked like Tolsma gains on you is when you get in too hot and it washes up. I mean, I know the thing's tight, but I'm just telling you what I'm seeing.
That's the spotter telling the driver, if you go in too fast, you lose ground.
Did you like your spotter to talk to you quite that much? Is this going on because Kurt Busch is a rookie?
You say you know too much, Eli. That's the only reason we're probably getting this much conversation. The spotters I had this year, I had to ask them most of the time, are you still there?
5 to go after you get the green, 5.
So the field will have 5 laps to go to settle the Milwaukee 200. And folks, remember, if you're tuning in now for the Pepsi 400 preview, it will be coming your way from Daytona International Speedway as soon as we move aside. And then the Pepsi 400 this evening, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on CBS.
And we'll be in the motel room eating that Chinese takeout.
You're still going with the number 8?
Number 8 all the way with an egg roll.
There you go. Now you want an egg roll.
Yeah.
There's Dennis Conner, crew chief for Jack Sprague. And remember Sprague, could he be the wild card in all of this? All of a sudden, he's in a tight 3rd spot. And has always run well here in Milwaukee. Sprague won here in 1996. Finished 4th here in 97. Finished 3rd here in 98. Was 2nd here in 99. 5 miles.
You got a big lead, kid.
got a big lead, kid.
He's got the right gears in his Jericho transmission. Ooh, look at him pull away. Biffle just went by Sprague.
Sprague continues to slip outside. Here comes Houston going by. And Marty Houston may well go by. So Sprague is out of the mix for the moment. He could probably bite right through that steering wheel now.
Oh, look, he's so loose. He can't hang on coming out of turn 2. Sprague's real loose.
He's going to work hard to keep the 90 at bay.
Well, up front, Tolsma just drove all over Busch, climbed all over his back bumper.
Look at Sprague, still cannot get back to the low side. Carlos Contreras will take a spot away. A heartbreaker for Sprague, who had moved up to 3rd. There goes Corelli. And Sprague's truck just skating around the Milwaukee Mile. Glenn, what's happening to Sprague's truck?
Well, guys, I asked crew chief Dennis Conner just as Jack started to fall back what had happened, and he said he didn't know. Jack hadn't said anything yet. We're still trying to find out what happened to the 24 truck. We don't know, and they told us they didn't know.
Now, there you see the battle for the lead.
Watch how the lead changes, though, when they go into the corner, Eli. He'll close it. He'll start closing here. And he gets up closer in the corner. But I think this Roush motor's too much down the straightaway, and now Busch will pull him in the straightaway.
White flag. This is his first Milwaukee race in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. He started on the pole. And Kurt Busch now a half-mile away from becoming the 24th driver to win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. In only his 14th start, rookie Kurt Busch wins in Milwaukee.
Oh, that looks sweet, dude!
Kurt Busch gets the win. Tolsma finishes 2nd. Biffle denied in his efforts to win 4 straight, comes home 3rd. Steve Grissom a strong 4th.
Kurt, you got to take her to the victory circle, okay?
Houston is 5th, and you see Biffle come over. His corporate teammate just kind of give him a playful shove there. Look at that.
There they are.
What does this feel like for a first-time winner, Coach?
Oh, I think anytime you win your first race, you'll never forget that. He's got to be thrilled. This is not the first win he's ever had, but it's his first truck win. And he'll remember this one. And you know what? He was the class of the field the entire race.
Actually, all weekend, from the moment that Exide Ford truck unloaded off the transporter, you had an idea he could be the 7th winner in the 2000 season.
I can tell the age difference in a lot of these drivers. There he is making donuts. Wow, I'd lose a motor doing that. Listen to those RPMs. When his spotter said to him, "You're smooth, dude," well, he got a 21-year-old driver doing some donuts out here.
And I got news for you. With your Ernie Elliott engines under the hood of your machines, you weren't going to lose a motor doing some donuts.
Well, I would, because if I did that, Ernie would take my motor away from me. He'd spank me.
Those of you who are tuning in for the Pepsi 400 preview from Daytona, it will be coming your way in just a moment or so, with the Pepsi 400 itself under the lights at the World Center of Racing this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on CBS. So stick around, the preview upcoming in moments. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett in victory lane.
And Kurt Busch pulls up here. Kurt, congratulations, man. Great job. You totally dominated that thing for your first victory.
It was tough. I didn't think we had the truck to beat after we put on right sides at the end, but awesome job by those guys right there. This is one hell of a team. They're coming together. Our pit stops were awesome. Oxide batteries, Roush. He's given me a great opportunity. Greg Biffle, what an awesome teammate. This is awesome.
Congratulations. That's one heck of a rookie driver, too, Eli.
Indeed he is. Kurt Busch grabs the victory, and he was dominant from the get-go. So for Jerry Glanville, Glenn Jarrett, and Steve Burns, I'm Eli Gold, saying so long from Wisconsin, where Kurt Busch has won the Milwaukee 200. Coming up next, it's the Pepsi 400 preview show, and later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, it's live flag-to-flag coverage of the Pepsi 400 from Daytona.